One word that describes WrestleMania.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
That's tough.
Spectacular.
Iconic.
Destiny.
Epic.
Entertainment.
Magical.
Dream?
Passion.
Grandiose.
Legacy.
Legacy.
Family.
Family is the word.
Welcome to the greatest sports entertainment spectacular of all time. Welcome to WrestleMania!
There's nothing like WrestleMania. You have larger-than-life characters, soap opera-like storylines. You have drama, comedy, athleticism.
People come from around the world. WWE is, yes, it is a global juggernaut. It is, it's a phenomenon. Everyone from all different sports worlds want to be a part of WrestleMania.
It's special. It's one of a kind. It's something that anyone that's ever been in this industry strives to get on. It's the greatest show on earth.
I was 15 years old, so I have obviously a very good memory of that. This was WWE's pinnacle of what our showcase event is going to be. Howard Finkel went out there, I believe, and he was the ring announcer and said, "Good evening," as Howard would in his voice.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to WrestleMania.
And just to feel the energy and the pageantry. I mean, you had Muhammad Ali, you had Billy Martin, you had the Rockettes. I mean, you had the who's who of being part of it. So it was truly a mix of sport and entertainment.
Look at this, they're exchanging slip. Oh! Piper now goes behind quickly, takes him down to the canvas.
Roddy Piper, aside from stealing the show at the first ever WrestleMania, I thought he just did such an amazing job promoting that match, and it really took wrestling to the next level. He is the one that made what everybody else was doing matter.
The first one I remember is WrestleMania III, with obviously Andre and Hulk Hogan.
My dad had this idea, the Pontiac Silverdome, 93,173 people, to set the indoor attendance record. Met with Andre and said, "Boss," as he called him, as Andre would respectfully call him as well. Said, "I have an idea. I want to sell out the Silverdome, and I want it to be you and Hulk Hogan."
The roof of the Silverdome about to explode here. Look at the stare of the champion against the challenger. The irresistible force meeting the immovable object.
When Hogan picked up Andre the Giant, that's something that I've remembered since I was a little kid.
Look at this. He's down it. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Oh, dropping a big leg. Over for the cover. He got her.
It's probably one, if not the most iconic WrestleMania moment in history. It's kind of one of the things that made me want to be a WWE superstar.
The first WrestleMania I ever saw was WrestleMania VI. Hulk Hogan versus the Ultimate Warrior in Toronto, Skydome.
Champion against champion, title for title. This is what it's all about. Feel the electricity. You can cut it with a knife.
As a child, that was like my dream match.
Whoa! What a show of strength by the Hulkster!
It was like the Celtics and the Lakers. That's how big it was for that period of time. I was a huge Ultimate Warrior fan. I just loved the energy he brought.
Don't believe it! He's going for the Gorilla Press! He got it! He did it!
That was in front of a huge, huge crowd, and it was just incredible.
Oh, he moved out of the way! Look out, the big splash! 1, 2! He got him! He got him!
Really something that captivated me from an early age.
I think the one that I grab onto most as a child was the WrestleMania at Caesar Palace. My cousin Yokozuna was the main event against Bret the Hitman Hart.
And the martial arts kick! That's phenomenal flexibility for a 505-pound man.
He ended up beating Bret and taking the heavyweight championship.
He threw something right in his eyes, and the referee could not see it. Yokozuna hooks the leg.
We got a new champion.
Yokozuna's won the title.
We've got a new champion.
And then Hulk Hogan came in out of nowhere.
Here comes Hulk Hogan.
Impromptu match.
Let's go. Got anything done? Let's do it. Mr. Fuji has said that they will put the title on the line right now against the Hulkster.
Big boot, leg drop to Rodney Yokozuna, and he took our cousin's championship. That was one of those moments that felt larger than life, and I think that's where it really dug in.
One of my favorite matches of all time is Bret Hart versus Owen Hart. WrestleMania
10. I mean, my goodness.
Oh, what a slap!
The passion, the story, the intricacies with how they went back and forth.
And the hitman, Bret Hart, is taking it to his little brother.
The story they told. Two of the greatest technicians of all time.
Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, the Iron Man match at WrestleMania XII.
This is an Iron Man match. You'll be wrestling for 60 minutes.
This idea of a sporting contest between two of the best guys, and they're both good guys at the time. And it's just like, here are these two guys, they're gonna wrestle for an hour.
Oh no, slingshot! Oh no!
We're gonna see who's the best, and it's for the championship. That really appealed to me as a teenager.
Michaels said he got it! He got all of it! Michaels got all of it! Michaels gonna cover! 1, 2, yeah! The boyhood dream has come true!
That's the first WrestleMania I was ever had enough money to order on my own.
One of my favorite WrestleMania matches is Bret Hart versus Steve Austin. And I remember texting Steve Austin about it. And I was texting Bret about it. It was a couple days ago. It was their 22nd anniversary of their WrestleMania XIII match.
Steve Austin doing what he does best, but Bret Hart's pretty good at it as well.
Let me read you the text. This is good stuff. I said to Steve, "Hey Steve, I texted Bret today and said that it was the 22nd anniversary of your WrestleMania XIII match with Steve Austin." And Bret replied in about a minute's time, "It's my favorite match. It was so easy to work with Steve. It made me smile and I wanted to share this with you." Steve wrote me back, "Thanks, Natty. Bret was special. His grit, determination, and passion for the business was on a different level. Bret was so important to my career and my run. Yes, he was easy to work with as well. Anytime and every time I worked with Bret was a great time."
Austin has now. Austin is unconscious. Austin never gave up.
WrestleMania 14 because I was actually there in Boston. And that was with, DX and Mike Tyson and Shawn Michaels and Stone Cold. You had the worst seats in the house, all the way up in the nosebleed sections, but it didn't matter because we were there. I think the biggest thing, and this is what everybody remembers, is Mike Tyson punching Shawn Michaels in the face.
Oh, a right hand. Tyson, right hand. There goes Michaels.
Nobody, and it's, gosh, at that time too, like Tyson was on top of the world. To have him in a WWE ring and to be able to see that live and to be able to see Mike Tyson give a haymaker to Shawn Michaels right in his chin, just really, really cool stuff.
I think my greatest wow moment of WrestleMania was when Undertaker's streak was broken by Brock Lesnar.
A 3rd and 5 to the Undertaker! Brock Lesnar into the cover, hooks the leg, the streak is over. I'm speechless.
So are 75,000 people here. That's probably the biggest, oh my God, moment in WrestleMania history.
It blew my mind how people could be so invested and how long of a build it was for that payoff. It took 20 years for that story to complete itself.
What else can you say about that? He beat Undertaker's streak. I mean, that's 21 years of dominance coming to an end.
One of the greatest experiences of my life, ever, that I will always hold so near and dear in my heart, is about 10 minutes before I came out, called my boys and my wife Marissa backstage, and I said, "Hey, Declan, Kenyon, Rogan, think you may want to come out with me?" They're like, "What?" They're like, "No way." You're like, "Serious?" Like, "Yeah, how about you just come out with me?" And so they only had about 8 minutes notice, and they're like, yeah. And all of a sudden, then the crowd went crazy.
And look who's out here with Shane O'Mac. Shane O'Mac's sons out here to see him perform for the very first time.
I couldn't believe it. I was holding in, I was so proud of them, trying to be in my moment. I'm about to go into battle here, but I'm looking at them, and they were like a boy band. They were like, my Elvis was jumping around and like feeling the energy, and I'm going, look at these kids. I was like, oh my God, and holding back laughter and pride and enjoyment, just watching that moment was so surreal. And then I went down and I, put them over the barricade where they were going to sit and give my wife Marissa a kiss, and I was like, all right, I got to get my head into this thing because Undertaker, he's a big dude.
Shane is scaling the Hell in a Cell that's 20 feet high.
What goes through your head, when you're standing on top of a structure like that. For me, I get super calm and quiet. The entire crowd just dissipates, and it becomes, I can hear a pin drop. From that height, you know, if I miscalculate, if I'm off, if, you know, my body twists a certain way, it could be very bad. Then I just let it rip.
Shane, don't do this! Shane, no! Oh my God! For the love of mankind, Shane just exploded through our table!
Oh my gosh. Who doesn't? I always have a heart attack when that happens. Like, I feel like I have a semi-heart attack. Like, he like takes out years of my life anytime he jumps off a cage.
All the enthusiasm, trust me, leaves your body. If I cracked a couple ribs, you know, and I mean, it's just impact coming from that high, and you know, at 250 pounds, you build up a lot of velocity, and you get to go through whatever's down there. It doesn't matter what it is. So, yeah, it hurts a little bit.
Tonight we celebrate Nature Boy Ric Flair.
It was at that moment that I realized, like, wow, my dad is a big deal. I followed my dad's career and I went to many matches, but to see 80,000 people on their feet, it just felt like my dad's weekend.
Look at Flair, standing vertical suplex. The strength, the technique.
The moment where Shawn Michaels, you know, said, "I love you," before he kicked Ric Flair in the face.
Flair wants to fight. Oh, my God, what a shot.
The way they told the story, you know, the man that was over the hill and the top superstar that was still in his prime. The older guy overcame obstacles, tried to win, but you know, at the end, it wasn't going to happen. And one didn't want to stop, and one was saying he was sorry he had to do this. It was just a very emotional roller coaster.
My dad had the respect of all the guys in the back, and that's what matters the most in our business is respect. And then to think 11 years later, I'd be walking down the same aisle. There's so much more diversity now, and the pinnacle of the women's evolution is taking place at MetLife. To me, it's just the beginning.
Oh, when you talk about being the first woman to main event WrestleMania, I'm freaking trying not to cry.
And when I was a kid, I didn't know there was such thing as women wrestlers. I didn't know it was an option for me. It was a dream that I never had because I didn't think it was possible for me.
I have a daughter who's 11 years old, and the last thing I want my little girl thinking is, I don't know if I can do that. No, that's crap. You can. And look at these girls who are doing huge things. They're doing what men can't even do this year.
Now there's going to be an entire generation of little girls that are gonna get that inspiration that I missed out on.
These girls are out to steal the show just like everybody else in the WWE. Ladies, you're in the main event of WrestleMania. Congratulations.
Tune in to the greatest spectacular of all time. WrestleMania has something for everybody, all different size, shapes, and it's for the ages. So check it out, April 7th. WrestleMania, 80,000 people, MetLife Stadium, and very much looking forward to being a part of it.